Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng, the elder, Kashna, Dylan and the 5 sector Lord Guards secretly followed a back path leaving the arena. However, the moment they stepped out, they encountered another group of youths blocking their paths. Human Luo Feng, please accept my challenge. Human genius I Kai Nuo issue you a challenge. The group of Goldhorn race youths were incredibly passionate. Let's go. Luo Feng frowned. Right? Dylan nodded. Relax, it's no problem. The elder used his undying energy to suppress the group of youths and their pestering. Su. Luo Feng's group swiftly tore through the skies and headed towards the city. The city was incredibly vast. There was another city within the sacred city, the Sacred Land. The Sacred Land was the most sacred place within the entire Laos world. There were some training quarters within, specially prepared for the warriors of the Goldhorn race. One was called the Technique Tower, and another was the Sacred Tablet Tower. In terms of importance, naturally the Tablet Tower was higher. Look! Elder Sai-Fan Chi pointed into the distance at a white tower over 100 km tall. That is the Technique Tower, where the countless techniques written by our warriors are placed. In there, you can read a summary of the many techniques. Summary. Luo Feng was stunned. Right? The elder nodded. There are countless techniques in there in order to help the later generations make the best choice. We've placed a summary of each of the manuals in there with basic details and information about it. That way, the reader could read through it and get an understanding of what they would be training and their procedures. As for the precise training techniques etc., it's not in there. Luo Feng nodded. Only once the person has confirmed the book and sent a request will he be given the true manual. The elder smiled. After all, we've accumulated manuals over countless years, and their worth is immeasurable. If we placed all the manuals in there, it would very quickly attract powerful races coming in to steal them. And right now with only the summaries and no training methods, it's very safe. Luo Feng understood the reasoning. The other Sacred Tablet Tower is where the tablet is stored. The elder pointed at the other gold tower. Your Majesty has the chance to study the tablet alone, you'll be entering that tower. Look! The entire Sacred Land is a city within the city. The elder pointed around. There were quite ancient living quarters about without any fancy decorations. They were all made simple and looked ancient. With a glance, large amounts of them gave off a very special ancient feeling. The pathways were filled with many warriors slovenly in dress and manner, all pensive and lost in their thoughts. The entire Sacred Land didn't have any entertainment construct or restaurants. This was a type of training atmosphere. To own a place in the Sacred Land to train, one either has to be an incredibly respected and powerful warrior, or be an absolute genius, or a person the doyens respect. The elder exclaimed. The ones training in this Sacred Land are the future hopes of our Goldhorn race. Your Majesty, our Goldhorn race has prepared a place for you to stay. The elder smiled. Please follow me. After a while, an ancient training quarters soon appeared within sight. Luo Feng and his group stood before it as the elder pointed at the building. This is already considered a huge space within the Sacred Land. Your Majesty can put your guards in here, and even after a month of studying the tablet, you can stay here and slowly absorb the wonders of the tablet. Your Majesty Luo Feng. Outside the quarters, a black-armored Goldhorn race man bowed respectfully. From today on, this space will be your living quarters, you can stay as long as you want. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. You 5 can rest here. Luo Feng ordered his 5 sector Lord Guards. Yes, Your Majesty. The 5 bowed respectfully. Dylan, follow me to check out the tablet. Luo Feng smiled. Luo Feng brought Dylan, Elder Sai-Fan Chi and Kashna, and walked over 100 kilometers, arriving before the majestic Sacred Tablet Tower. He looked up at the completely golden tower that was over 100 kilometers tall. Human Luo Feng. A deep voice resounded within his consciousness. I am the guardian of the Sacred Tablet. You have a month to study the Sacred Tablet alone. Will you begin now? Right now. Luo Feng nodded. Okay. The Sacred Tablet Guardian immediately interrupted the group of Goldhorn race clansmen studying the tablet, and chased them out of the tower. Some of them didn't even finish using their study time. However, due to their being a human, they would all have to wait a month before they could continue. Human genius. Look, he's over there. I was studying well and was actually interrupted. I still have 3 more days. Now, I'll have to wait a whole month before I get to finish it. Seriously. It had to be a human. Tens of Goldhorn race clansmen walked out of the tower and glanced at Luo Feng, communicating amongst themselves. However, they didn't dare stir any trouble, chatting a while before leaving. Dylan, you can all go back first. I'll go study the sacred tablet, and come out in a month. Luo Feng said and headed in. The moment he entered the tower, he felt a bone-chilling cold. By simply breathing, he could feel the cold temperature permeate deep into his body. Human Luo Feng, I am the sacred tablet guardian, you can call me guardian. A dark red-skinned man, completely covered in an exquisite black armor. Revealing only his purple eyes through his helmet, he stood there giving off an incredibly terrifying piercing energy. Beside him was a 3-meter-tall huge blade that was stuck in the ground. It gave Luo Feng a formless pressure. That didn't seem weaker than True Yang Emperor. Guardian. Luo Feng bowed. Enter. The Guardian said solemnly. Luo Feng nodded. He headed straight through the black pathway and proceeded. Very quickly, he entered an incredibly vast hall. Looking up, he could even see the roof of the over 100 kilometers tall tower. Obviously, the entire tower only had 1 level, and within this vast hall there was a majestic crystal sacred tablet. The entire tablet was 300 meter tall, 100 meter wide and 50 m thick. It was made of a completely dark green crystal body, and it gave off an energy that made one hold his breath. Simultaneously, there was a hole right in the center of it. The hole was about 30 centimeters in diameter, with a depth of 1 m. It was a round conical hole. It's different from the 52 primal chaos tablets of humanity. Firstly, the material is different and the feeling is different too. Luo Feng stood before it and saw the 300-meter tall green crystal tablet. On it was a peculiar demon picture, a human-shaped demon howling. Demon howling picture. The entire crystal tablet has only this one picture, and the center actually has a conical hole. Luo Feng muttered to himself. He didn't think much more after that and began to examine the tablet. The moment he focused on it, his consciousness couldn't help but get sucked into that demon picture. Rumble, his consciousness was sucked into one of the wings of that demon picture. It was like looking at a vast endless space, and in it the stars were aligning. Luo Feng just had some comprehension. At this point his internal world, which had been stuck at the Domain Lord pinnacle level, seemed to have been affected by something. Suddenly it began to tremor. Ah! Luo Feng was shocked. He immediately pulled himself out of his immersion in the tablet, understanding instantly what was happening. My internal world is evolving and breaking through to the Sector Lord level. Internal world. The metal continent, which originally had an area of 900,000 kilometers, began to madly swallow up the endless gold mist surrounding the place. It also swallowed up the mist above the continent, the mist that engulfed the entire world. The evolution was different from before. The vast metal continent didn't expand after it swallowed up the gold mist, instead it shrank. The more it swallowed up the gold mist, the more the continent itself shrank. The entire world, however, grew bigger. At this time, the internal world's diameter was more than 10 times bigger than before, and the vast continent, that had an area of 900,000 kilometers, however, was constantly shrinking, finally becoming a deep abyss surrounded by golden mountains. Dual World Pool form. Rumble. The Dual World Pool stopped in the space above the continent, as complex engravings filled the entire deep abyss within the Dual World Pool. This was much more complex than the Beast God Howling engraving from the Blood River energy. Within the mountain range gathered countless gold spots of light. These spots were the essences of the countless amounts of gold mist absorbed earlier from the 900,000 kilometers metal continent. At this time, the blur of gold lights revolved about like a nebula. Goldhorn World Stone, gather. Luo Feng's consciousness was extremely powerful, controlling this entire process directly. Rumble. The nebula of gold lights instantly gathered into one body, and became a gold tower-like shaped gold stone that was only the size of a finger. This stone floated within the Dual World Pool. However, it caused the entire space around it to ripple, eventually shaking the entire internal world. Goldhorn World Stone. A golden horned beast can only produce this one Goldhorn World Stone in its entire life. It's a stone that's formed from the internal world's essence. It contains gold and space, a true treasure. Luo Feng exclaimed. The Gold Horn World Stone was the golden horned beast's most important treasure. After breaking through from Domain Lord to Sector Lord level, its internal world isn't purely gold energy anymore, but a very normal internal world that could have rivers, mountains and even life within. Hence the ferocious gold energy that was filled with offensive power forms a dual world pool. And the energy of that dual world pool was within that Gold Horn World Stone. As the internal world changes, Luo Feng's earth body core began to undergo change too. Rumble. His soul and genetic energy crystals began to melt into a liquid under a formless energy. The two began to interweave, and as the spirit energy and genetic energy made contact, it fused both his consciousness and willpower. It was this first fusion that resulted in the world energy being formed. The birth of world energy. It allowed a thread of Luo Feng's consciousness to resonate and feel the energies of the vast universe. The primal universe was the most vast and ancient universe that produced many races and life forms. Like the universe at an early stage of formation, even though it was a part of the primal universe, it wasn't even a fraction of the primal universe. The primal universe was the true source of energies. When Luo Feng's world energy was first produced in his internal world, it connected with the incomparably distant source. This is the universe source of energy. A thread of his consciousness, with the power of the world energy, had already entered this source. It was an incredibly vast land. His consciousness could only feel this vast land, and not any other beings about. And within this endless space, every bit of mud was like a space, within it contained endless universe crystals. A grain of sand is like a world. A world has endless universe crystals. Is this the true face of the universe source? Luo Feng was incredibly shocked. However, the trillions of kilometer vast space that he could feel was only a small portion of the entire source itself. Even so, it shocked him greatly. Two worlds resonance. When Luo Feng's consciousness made contact with the source, his core and his internal world both underwent shocking change. His internal world had initially only had the dual world pool within. At this time, it was like his internal world had opened a path to the primal universe source. Endless universe energies flowed as world energy into his internal world was almost like a torrent or flood. It violently and instantly filled his entire internal world. One had to know, his internal world space was already 10 times larger than before, however it was still completely filled. Obviously. To the primal universe source, every grain of sand's universe crystal's energies could completely fill Luo Feng's internal world. Feels good. Instantly having so much universe energy. It's a pity that such a chance only happens at the breakthrough from Domain Lord to Sector Lord level. And only during this time will there be this chance. Luo Feng thought. After which, he didn't think more about it, his consciousness feeling his internal world which was filled to the brim with world energy from the source. Condense. Center continent, gold, wood, water, fire, ground, form the side continents. With a diameter of 5 million kilometers, a vast continent was formed. With about 1 million in diameter continents within that huge continent, the 5 continents were burning, ice-cold, or filled with grass and wood, or metal mountain ranges, or thick grounds. Between the 6 continents is an endless ocean. Rumble. There was endless waters in between the ground and skies. It flooded the areas and took up half the space in the entire internal world. The surface of the ocean far exceeded that of the continents. Within the center continent, there's an ocean within. Immediately, the center continent, with a diameter of 5 million kilometers, had its center portion crumble. The ground was reduced to a void and endless sea water was produced within, filling it up, and a 900 kilometers diameter ocean was formed within the center of the continent. Within the ocean, there lies the dual world pool. Gurgle. The ocean churned. The dual world pool gently rose, and just like a solitary island in the sea, it lay in the center of the endless abyss, almost like another world altogether. Endless living things, birth. Luo Feng left everything for his internal world to work. The center continent, 5 continents within, internal ocean, endless ocean, all these naturally formed plants, flowers, mountain ranges, etc. At this time, the entire internal world was no different from a real world. Internal world formed. The universe energies that weren't completely used swiftly became universe crystals, and instantly gathered and formed a universe crystal mountain on the continent. The internal world was already successfully formed, and the universe energies, world energies naturally gathered and formed a universe crystal mountain. Normally those that just stepped into Sector Lord level would experience this. However, a normal sector lord would never have acquired such a huge universe crystal mountain. Because the internal world of the sector lords were much smaller than Luo Feng's. From what I know, many sector lords' internal worlds only have a diameter of over 10,000 kilometers. Mine, however, has a diameter over 10 million kilometers. The bigger the internal world, the amount needed to sustain the core was also more. From the 900,000 kilometers internal world reaching to over 10 million kilometers, Luo Feng's core had to undergo an evolution from its foundation. During the process, the core naturally began to absorb the energies emanated from the internal world, a small portion of the Gold Horn World Stone's energy. Rumble, within the core, his spirit and genetic energies had completely fused, and according to the natural evolution of the universe, it formed an origin pearl. The pearl revolved slightly and released endless threads that connected to the main core. The main core thus began to change. From Star Traveler to Domain Lord level, this core had always been a half-translucent crystal with complex gold engravings. It glowed with golden light, and was very mysterious. However, after stepping into the Sector Lord level, the core absorbed the threads of internal world energies, source energies and universe energies, forming a seemingly normal-looking core. Simple. With a hint of light, even the gold engravings were completely hidden. My God! Luo Feng was shocked. My core now has to sustain this 10 million diameter large internal world. It's already the core of many Sector Lord pinnacles, and even more terrifying than that. When I reach the Sector Lord pinnacle, this core, what level will it reach? No wonder the Golden Horned Beast has 3 natural abilities, with inherited memories and a lifespan, which was 10 times that of a human. However, very few actually break through to Undying. Feeling the strength of this core, Luo Feng understood why breaking through to the Undying was extremely difficult. Even now, even if Luo Feng released his defenses and allowed others to come attack his core, even a Sector Lord pinnacle wouldn't be able to break it. Naturally, Luo Feng wouldn't give others the chance to do so either. Stepping into the Sector Lord level, my internal world is now a true world. I don't only have to swallow metals. Normal Sector Lords would use universe crystals to evolve and change their worlds, and when my internal world was expanding in the past, it relied on countless universe crystals to form. I only have 2 paths. The first is to use the universe crystals to expand my internal world more. That way, when I reach Sector Lord Pinnacle, my internal world diameter will be over 30 million kilometers. The second is to continue using valuable metal groupings from swallowing, the ones suitable for the Golden Horned Beast. After being swallowed into the Jewel World Pool, the most pure and valuable gold energies would enter the Gold Horn World Stone, the other energies would immediately push the internal world to change. After the Gold Horn World Stone evolves, its exquisite energies would affect the core and make it stronger, and will be able to withstand a larger internal world. That way, at Sector Lord Pinnacle, my internal world diameter would reach over 90 million kilometers. Luo Feng was very clear. The first path was much easier, many Golden Horned Beasts chose this path. The second was much harder, as the shackles would be stronger. The good thing was that the larger the internal world, the stronger one was, and his god country eventually would be stronger too. Also, after constantly absorbing the exquisite energies from the Gold Horn World Stone, the stone would be much more powerful too. There were 2 paths. One was easy, while the other much harder. Which one should he choose? Within the tower, Luo Feng, who had his eyes closed before the sacred tablet, revealed a smile. My heart is like a mirror, and I see through all illusions. My heart is like a blade, slicing through all obstacles. Luo Feng had no hesitation, as he very calmly made his decision. If I don't even have the guts to break through a pinnacle-level Golden Horned Beast, there's no need to even mention becoming an absolute being of the universe, to be the true upper echelon of humanity. I believe I can do it. Definitely. Luo Feng was silent. As one that received guidance on mental state training from Thunder God and Hong, he emphasized heavily on the heart. If one didn't even have the guts to challenge this sort of difficulty, he would forever be a nobody. And if one had the guts and confidence even against the hardest of obstacles, then he would constantly push his limits and work towards his goal. Even if he fails in the end, that achievement would be extremely high. Hence, Luo Feng naturally chose the second path, strengthening the internal world with large amounts of metal. Actually, he had long purchased the metal groups required for Sector Lord level. It was obvious, in the depths of his heart, he had long made the decisions he needed. Back then, I was only a normal warrior of Earth. Did anyone even imagine I would become the leader of the Milky Way. Back then, when I entered the universe as the strongest of Earth, did anyone ever imagine that I would become one of the top 10 geniuses of the 1008 Universe Country Genius Competition? Did anyone ever think that I would enter the primal region on my first try? And right now, many actually think I have hopes of becoming an official or emperor-level undying. Yet few dare to imagine that I'd actually reach the level of a universe knight. Luo Feng thought, his eyes gleaming brighter than before. A true warrior had complete faith and confidence. The first step was to dare to dream, and after that it was all about hard work. If one didn't even dare have such a goal, how would he succeed? Internal world. The vast internal world, in the center continent's grassy patch, there was a mountain-like black space beast, and beside it stood the black Mosha Luo Feng. Gold Horn Beast, breakthrough to Sector Lord level. Mosha Clansman, breakthrough to Sector Lord level. With his consciousness pushing, the countless universe crystals that formed the majestic mountain immediately broke apart, and became world energy. It was almost like two powerful currents, where one was pouring straight into the golden hornet beast body while the other into the Mosha Luo Feng. However, one of the currents was about 10 meters thick, and the other was 10 kilometers. Noises came from all over the golden hornet beast's body. The body that was strengthened by practicing the nameless manual began to evolve. As it was swallowing large amounts of world energy, it caused its body to grow even bigger. Its scales were much more dense than before, and even formed a translucent layer above the scales. On its forehead, a fifth horn grew out, the other four too began to grow longer. Rumble, the Mosha Clansman beside it had completely turned into a black energy flow. The energy grew thicker and thicker, as one could faintly see through it. Right at the center of it was a resplendent shining life crystal that had space law ripples within it. Rumble. Rumble. The 10 kilometers thick world energy current and the 10 m thick world energy currents stopped simultaneously. The golden horned beast body length had already reached a shocking 100 kilometers. The moment it spreads its wings, it could easily cover any of the super cities of Earth. In a blink of an eye it could fly around the entire planet once. To such an absolute being, a planet was simply too small, the place it lived in was the universe space. Hua hua. That rumbling black energy flow condensed and formed a black-clothed Luo Feng. Sector Lord Golden Horned Beast and Mosha Luo Feng stood in the grass patch. Howl. The beast raised its head and howled, letting out a carefree howl that shook the vast world, announcing its breakthrough into the Sector Lord level. Ha ha. Mosha Luo Feng laughed carefreely as well. Sector Lord level is truly different. Mosha Luo Feng was filled with glee. This Mosha Luo Feng originally had 10 times the amplitude of its fusion with the space laws. But, now that it had evolved to a Sector Lord, being the fastest level, with its amplitude, it's simply. He already knew training during Sector Lord level was extremely fast. Sector Lord level was the time during which one's powers would soar. Even undyings couldn't compare to Sector Lords. This was also why many choose to stay at Sector Lord level for very long with no rush to break through. Like that time Sector Lord Luo, he had stayed so long at Sector Lord level. However, as his lifespan was reaching its end, breaking through to undying became more and more urgent. Within the vast sacred tablet tower, before that majestic tablet, Luo Feng immediately stood up and opened his eyes. I've broken through to Sector Lord level, and I also have 2 dual world pools. When I unleash the swallowing ability, it'll be much safer than before. Luo Feng thought. The Golden Horned Beast and the Mosha Clansman have reached Sector Lord level 1. From Domain Lord to Sector Lord, the huge evolution in strength is indeed crazy. I'm in no rush to practice the 10,000 soul control technique. After I study this sacred tablet for a month, it would still be okay. I cannot waste this month. It may seem slow, but in truth, the internal world breaking through along with the Golden Horned Beast and Mosha Clansman breakthrough didn't even take half a day. Luo Feng once again focused his eyes on the dark green crystal tablet. The majestic tablet had a picture of a huge demon howling. The demon had 2 curved horns, feathered wings and fiery eyes. At first glance, it seemed like a normal demon howling picture, however on careful examination, one would discover that any of the feathers on its wings, the flames around its eyes, every strand of hair, every vein in its horns, engraving in its armor, had unbelievable amounts of mystery. Rumble. Part of Luo Feng's consciousness was immersed in the picture, another half of it, the Golden Horned Beast and Mosha Clansman's consciousness, had entered the universe source through the world energy resonation. In the mysterious universe source, the entire core of the primal universe, no one knows how long it has been in existence. They only know that at Sector Lord level, it's the first time their consciousness can enter the source. Feels too good. Half of Luo Feng's consciousness was sucked into the endless land, which was essentially just a grain of sand in the vast cosmos. His consciousness felt a clarity like never before with the gold, wood, water, fire, ground, wind, thunder, light, space and time, all the different types of laws, he felt all of it. The law source too were kept within that mysterious source. When his consciousness arrived within the source, it would be in a state that was incomparably close to the origin laws. As such, the resonance was extremely clear. Even the other wood, water, fire, ground, wind, thunder, light and time laws that he didn't understand before, at this time, it felt as clear as his comprehension of the Gold Lord during his Domain Lord period. Of course, if his comprehension of wood, water, fire etc. were at a clarity level of 100, then his Gold Law clarity would be about 10,000 and his Space Law would be 200,000. How can a Sector Lord not improve fast? The law comprehension is more than 100 times easier than before. Many things I was unable to comprehend at the universe and Domain Lord levels. After becoming Sector Lord level, I can still train them till I reach the level of law recognition. Luo Feng exclaimed. Sector Lord level truly is the sole heavenly level. World energy was a special creation energy. The Sector Lords used it to create their worlds, and the source, that endless space was an endless space of world energy. Any grain of sand had countless universe crystals. And because world energy was special, it allowed one's consciousness to enter it. The moment one reached undying, their energies would once again undergo change. They would have powerful undying energy, however their consciousness would no longer be able to resonate with that source again. Stronger didn't naturally mean better, what was best was what was suitable. With world energy, one would have the chance to comprehend all sorts of laws. The moment one became undying, they would take trillions of years and yet still be unable to comprehend space laws. One was because the space laws got harder towards the end, at an extreme level. Secondly, an undying's comprehension couldn't compare with a Sector Lord. At Sector Lord level, some absolute geniuses only train for tens of thousands of years and their comprehension can compare to that of an Emperor-level undying. However, for a normal undying that constantly breaks through, even 100 million years wouldn't be enough for him to reach Emperor level. This was an advantage. This was the advantage of Sector Lord level. Many with ambition refuse to break through to undying because of this reason. They want to comprehend more laws at Sector Lord level, allowing them to have a stronger foundation, and when they eventually break through, they immediately became official level, or even Emperor level undyings. Like that absolute genius Kudi, who was able to defeat an official level undying at Sector Lord level. If he didn't die and broke through to undying, the moment he broke through, he would immediately reach Emperor level. Within the internal world, Moshe Luo Feng sat crossed-legged. The complex space engravings within its life crystal rippled constantly, causing Moshe Luo Feng's consciousness to resonate with the space law ripples, as its amplitude rose by tens of times. Blood River Energy. The golden horned beast triggered its energy from the right claw. It swiftly evolved and simultaneously a picture of a beast god head howling appeared, causing its gold origin law clarity to rise by 10 times as well. Its clarity before was 10,000, and the space law's clarity was at 200,000. At this time, the gold law clarity rose to 100,000 and the space law clarity had reached over 20 million. Far exceeding that of wood, water and the others. Wonderful. On one hand, comprehending the Howling Demon sacred tablet, at the same time using the space and gold laws to compare and contrast, this speed is. Luo Feng could feel that studying this tablet now for one day was akin to his Domain Lord level's 100 years worth of work. Of course, the main thing was that breaking through to Sector Lord level had made his efficiency rise by hundreds of times. Luo Feng was immersed in his study of the sacred tablet. Even when he became thirsty or hungry, he didn't dare waste a second. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Within an old training quarters in the sacred land, Saifan Chi, Kashna, Dylan and the 5 Sector Lords all stayed there. His Majesty Luo Feng has already entered the sacred tablet tower to train. You all should go focus on training as well. Only those who know they are stronger than Bei Chuang should come back here and look for him. At the entrance of the quarters, Elder Sai-fan Chi looked on coldly at the gold horn youths gathered there. Those who are too weak, but still want to challenge him, hasn't it been disgraceful enough? He unleashed his undying energy, causing the group of youths to shudder with fear. An emperor-level undying, even in the stronger upper-level tribes, there were usually only one or two of them. He definitely belonged to the stronger undyings. Why are you still standing there for? Get lost. Elder Sai-fan Chi roared fiercely. Yes, Elder. The group bowed respectfully and left dissatisfied. The elder watched them leave and couldn't help but shake his head. These youths were all caught up in the previous victories over humanity, they were all too passionate. Compared to humans, our intellect is obviously much lower. The elder exclaimed. The stone life forms and flesh and blood life forms have huge differences, even though our percentage of strong warriors is higher, however in terms of reproduction and intellect, we are much weaker. These youths are all caught up in the hype, and completely lost all sense of reasoning. The Gold Horn race was indeed that way. As long as they were passionate about something, they would risk it all. Humanity was different. Humanity had more intellect, even the student-level humans were incredibly wise. Even though the Gold Horn race strong warriors had powerful mental abilities, comparable to a quantum computer, in terms of IQ they were much weaker. They were basically silly with not enough experience, however, those beings that lived for very long were trained by time and naturally grew their intelligence. Elder Sai-fan Chi. Dylan brought the 5 sector lords over. Mr. Dylan. The elder smiled at him. Sorry to trouble you, every time the groups come over to challenge, you'd have to hold the ground. The black-robed Dylan smiled. During these 20 days, they've never stopped and it's indeed been hard on you. It's my Gold Horn race that has been inconsiderate. The elder shook his head helplessly. We have too many youths, and even though we've ordered for no disturbance, these youths still come without any fear of death. I cannot kill the future of my race too. I can only order them to leave. Sorry for constantly disturbing your training. It's nothing. Dylan shook his head. Actually, these challenges are nothing. The elder shook his head. The one I'm worried about is a genius within the race. Who? Dylan asked. Bei Chiu. The elder said solemnly, the genius brothers of the Doyen Palace, the older brother Bei Chiu. His younger brother Bei Chuang is among the top 10 of the Domain Lord level 9 geniuses. Bei Chiu, however, is the undisputed number 1, and his origin law comprehension, according to your human levels, should be at the Heavenly Bridge level 10. Ah? Level 10. Dylan was shocked. From level 9 to 10, that was an extremely hard step. The Domain Lord geniuses of the Primal region in the Virtual Universe Company had a total of 10, of which 9 had passed the 10th level and 1 had passed the 11th. No one expected the Gold Horn race to have such a genius too. The Beiji brothers are ferocious and intrepid, and they are very close brothers. The elder emphasized. After Bei Chuang's defeat, his brother Bei Chiu will definitely rush over here to the sacred city. With his proud and fierce nature, he would definitely challenge Luo Feng. The other challenges are nothing, Bei Chiu however, that's the number 1 Domain Lord level genius here. Dylan frowned. When Luo Feng defeated Bei Chuang earlier, it had already surprised Dylan. Dylan even secretly informed True Yang Emperor of the match. If His Majesty meets Bei Chiu, he would probably lose. Dylan thought, the difference between the 9th and 10th level is very obvious, and his training time has been too short. As the two of them were chatting, they suddenly felt a strong energy. The elder, Dylan and the 5 sector lords with Kashna turned to look. Sacred Tower. They were all shocked. In the distance, within the majestic over 100 kilometers tall tower, there was an incredible powerful law energy that engulfed the entire area. Gold engravings circulated around and golden light that shot out in all directions. In an instant, the entire gold tower had become incredibly glaring, the powerful law energies made people shudder. The law source is descending. The elder and Dylan exchanged glances with shock, they were very clear on this scene. His Majesty is in the sacred tablet tower. A sector lord shouted with glee behind Dylan. Other than the Guardian, there's only His Majesty Luo Feng within the tower now. The elder's eyes was gleaming too. And now the law source is descending, it's the gold law without a doubt, His Majesty Luo Feng has already been recognized by the gold law. Law recognition. Kashna was shocked. That Luo Feng, his only Domain Lord level. Dylan watched the distant tower, extremely excited as he nodded and thinking, I have to inform the Grandmaster immediately. Within the sacred land, the strong were as numerous as the clouds. There would frequently be warriors acquiring law recognition. This law source descending was a special scene. The warriors training in this place were already used to it. However, this time it had appeared within the sacred tablet tower. And many knew that only a domain lord level human genius was studying alone within. The human genius has acquired law recognition. So fast. Domain lord level 9, and his already acquired law recognition. Looks like in terms of the gold law, he's already reached an extremely high level. Strong. Many warriors within the sacred land looked up at the majestic gold tower. Within the tower, Luo Feng stood quietly before the dark green tablet, his eyes gazing at the demon howling picture. Rumble. The space about shook. A gold droplet appeared above Luo Feng's head and descended. Drip. The gold droplet landed straight on his head, passing through his body as though it was nothing. After which it landed in his main core, and passed right through that too. Finally this gold droplet landed on his origin pearl. The origin pearl was the soul and genetic energy fusion for domain lord level. This was Luo Feng's energy core. And also his soul core. Easily, the gold droplet was absorbed into the pearl, and the pearl had an extra streak of gold. At this time, Luo Feng was officially recognized by the gold laws. On his forehead, a gold blade imprint gradually appeared, and this print rippled with power that made people shudder. This was the mark of being recognized by the laws. Simultaneously, a huge gold blade imprint appeared on the forehead of the golden horned beast as well. I didn't expect my gold law comprehension had already reached the level of recognition. Luo Feng revealed a smile. Now that I've acquired recognition, then my consciousness should be able to enter the law ocean. Universe source, it was incomparably mysterious. As one acquires world energy after reaching sector lord level, Luo Feng's consciousness could resonate with that vast land, and after the drop of origin law was absorbed by his soul's consciousness underwent an evolution, and at this time, he felt an incredible change within. It was almost like a mother calling her child. He sent out half of his consciousness swiftly leaving the vast land and heading towards the call. Rumble. The gold ocean was vast and endless. This was the gold origin law source. The entire primal universe gold origin law source. An endless amount of energies emanated from that ocean. A powerful pressure far exceeding any warrior Luo Feng had ever encountered came from it. Luckily, he had already received the law recognition, and had absorbed a drop of the law itself. Rumble, the powerful waves rose up ferociously. His consciousness was within that drop of origin law, floating within the ocean, constantly searching for comprehension of the gold law. Another part of his consciousness was within the vast land, while the third and final part of his consciousness was focused on studying the sacred tablet. After my consciousness acquired the gold origin law recognition, my gold law comprehension speed now is not any slower than my space laws. Luo Feng looked at the tablet before him, feeling glee within. Getting the law recognition meant that his comprehension had already reached a very high level. 20 days of study. Sector lord level study is hundreds of times faster than domain lord level. Plus I'm right in front of the sacred tablet. My 1 day's worth now is about 100 years of my domain lord level study. 20 days is close to 2,000 years of domain lord study. Luo Feng exclaimed. And this was simply the difference between sector lord and domain lord. Within the virtual universe company, the primal region sector lord members had the most intense competition. The many generations of genius battles, hero battles, along with the elite absorption throughout the universe etc., countless years of elites gathered in the sector lord level. Yet only a 100 end up in the primal region sector lord level. No wonder they all place so much importance on sector lord level geniuses. A day's worth of study is akin to a domain lord's 1 year's worth. If a sector lord studies for tens of thousands of years, how can the domain lord level genius even compare? Luo Feng thought. And this tablet is just right along the path of gold and space, its benefits are huge to me. Luo Feng stared at the tablet. I still have 10 days, I cannot waste any time. Acquiring the law recognition distracted Luo Feng for a couple of minutes, after which he once again immersed himself into studying the tablet. Part 1 end here.